Hello, this is Linda Vettrus-Nichols, and I have with me the most amazing person, Jennifer Bronsnick. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
My pleasure. All right, so you're a human design therapist, and it's like, say what? So you have that licensed clinical social worker background, and then you fell into this stuff called human design. So I love human design, as you well know, and so we've got my chart and your chart, and we'll get into that later. And I just love what you're doing in the world. My thing is all about we can't have world peace without inner peace, and you're just out there talking about, hey, can't we just like all love one another? That's what's going to bring us to peace. And the title here is Peace and Acceptance Through Human Design. So love to hear your story, Jennifer, so everybody can get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, so yes, I am a licensed clinical social worker, and I went through that process until one day I was invited to learn about this thing called human design. And the minute I saw my chart and learned that I was a projector and that I needed to wait for invitations, it helped me to almost instantaneously have such deep compassion for myself. And I had been in years of therapy and cognitive behavioral therapy, and I knew all of the brain steps, but this was something that was so different, and it allowed me to have exactly that peace and self-acceptance, because I knew that I didn't have to be like anybody else.
Right.
I could be myself, and that was okay.
Right.
It had always been a struggle.
I love it. I love it. And you've dealt with postpartum depression and anxiety.
Yes.
So are you saying that you've seen your own therapist as well as being a therapist?
Oh yeah, no, when you become a therapist, part of the learning is your own inner work. The minute you hit social work school, like, you're getting supervised, you have mentors. For my own anxiety, I saw, multiple therapists, and I lied on the couch and I went back through my history and like looked at my parents and what they did. And I came out of it not much better, still having panic attacks. And, it wasn't what had happened to me. It was the beliefs around my life and who I was and the story that I was telling myself.
Yeah.
And with human design, it's sort of like, oh, that's why I don't know when enough is enough, and I feel other people's emotional energy, and I want to, hide in the basement sometimes. Mm-hmm. So, just that understanding of the why.
Yeah.
And it's not about blame. It's not about going back and saying, well, this is the people that did this to me, and staying sort of in that victim mindset, which is, it's very comfortable to stay there. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, I can raise my consciousness, meaning I can experience acceptance and peace and gratitude and let go of those stories that had held me back, in order to just, it's almost like embody peacefulness.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
And then you've turned around and done that for other moms especially. So
yeah,
that's a great work in the world as well. So let's keep going. Okay, so allow others to be who they are. So you've discovered who you are at a much deeper level than like psychotherapy could ever do. And then it was about kind of seeing how other people are, right? And then understanding that that everybody is unique. And so then kind of doing the dance between all the different blueprints, if you will. So let's just go over, the different ones just real quick, and then we'll probably go over it more.
Yeah.
But
so I mentioned
like 5 and I say 4, and there's the combo one is 5. So
exactly.
Go ahead and run through them as far as kind of that, maybe the uniqueness of each one, something little.
Sure. Yeah, so there's no good or bad type. So as I go through these, don't feel like, oh, I should be this or I'm more like that. We are all beautiful. We are all needed on this planet. And we came here at that exact day, time, and place with that soul incarnation to fulfill your purpose. So, projectors aren't better than generators. So, so I'm a projector. Projectors are about 20% of the population, and they're here to guide and direct others through invitation. There are generators that are about 37% of the population, and generators and manifesting generators, but I divide them. Generators are here, they're the builders, they're the creators, they're here to become masters at something. This is true for manifesting generators too, who are about 33% of the population. And the difference is they have a different learning style. Manifesting generators learn very quickly. They have to go back and fix mistakes, and they move forward. They also have a two-part strategy. Both generators and manifesting generators need to respond to life. So have an idea, wait, and then respond to something in your outer reality. If you're a manifesting generator, though, you're going to have to inform the people that are going to be impacted so that they kind of move out of your way to allow your process to unfold, because you're moving a little bit faster than most people.
Right.
And then we have manifestors that are about 8% of the population. And manifestors are here to initiate. They are here to get the ball rolling, get in, get out. They have a very powerful creative flow. And if you stop them in the middle of the flow, you may experience some anger, that energy of anger. So the manifestor strategy is to inform. They need to inform the people around them so that they can continue to stay in that flow. And the people know, okay, they're going to be ready in a half hour, versus like interrupting them and they're like, what'd you do? It goes crazy. And then finally we have reflectors, and reflectors are less than 1% of the population. And they are here to really show us how we are doing. They're reflecting back the health of the community that they live in. They are very sensitive beings. They're lunar beings. And that's why their strategy is to wait out a full moon cycle before making a big decision.
Wow.
And when I say strategy, what I really mean is sort of how you make decisions, how you decide whether to move or to get a new job or to start a new relationship. That's what I mean by that strategy.
Right. Cool beans. All right. And then find your own joy. So that was really helpful for you to kind of understand, like, all of a sudden your whole life made sense and why you operated, and maybe it wasn't such a negative in your personality. It was just that you were, a projector or whatever. So what do you have to say about, like, find your own joy?
Yeah, so often we, follow what we think we should do. Like, we look at our parents and we see, oh, that's what they did, so I should do that. My mom was a social worker. So it's sort of, like, we follow the family line. And I love social work. There are many aspects of social work that are so important. But I found that personally, I wasn't getting the joy that I knew was possible. Like, I knew there was something else in the world that I was here to do. And so when I started doing human design readings, like, I was just doing them for free. I was kind of just testing the water. And I found that, like, I could do them all the time. Like, there's nothing I love more than sitting down with a chart and looking at all of the interesting parts and gates and channels and seeing the beauty in an individual, and really just helping people hone into their uniqueness is, so it's not that social work was bad or is bad or there's anything wrong with it, but it wasn't my joy. So I guess in terms of anyone listening, what are those things that bring you joy, like, that make you stay in the moment, that you could do forever, whether it's gardening or, parenting, some people get tons of joy from that.
Yeah.
So it's finding your
energy, right?
What's that?
And your joy gives you energy. It's
Yes.
what keeps you going.
Yeah.
What,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, what can you do
Feel
all
awake.
day and just get lost in it?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I love it. So it's really not so much like, oh, what is my passion? It's like, what's going to bring me the joy, the happiness even in the moment right now? If it's like, go for a walk. Yeah, that, like if I could only do one thing, the soul works in onesies, I always say. So if I can only do one thing, which one is it?
Yeah.
Way to notice what does give you joy, right?
Yeah. And, at all the types, no one has to wait to do something that's going to bring them joy.
Right.
I think that's, this misconception, some of the human design world is like, oh, I have to wait to do something pleasurable. And like, no, you don't.
Nice.
It's going to bring joy and it's not going to harm anybody else. Let's put that out there. Then
My kids can wait.
by all means, go do it. Follow your pleasure.
I love it. And, it's not even like, oh, like we came in here to do this certain job or something. It's, the time where the planets were, the date and even the actual time of our birth, which isn't as heavy duty to know, but that's part of the human design, like the data that's put in and where you were born, what city and state.
Right.
Country or whatever. Yeah. And it's really just kind of like energetically how you're kind of hooked up, and it's just something to notice. And when you understand a little bit more about human design, you get the big ahs and ahas, right?
Yes, totally.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. And so then create space and time. What's that all about?
So we have to make space for the things that we love and the things that bring us passion, because, just using my own personal experience, had I maintained a full practice of 20 clients a week, and there would have been no time for my passion. There wouldn't have been time to study. And it's taken me about 7 years to actually feel like I know enough about human design to finally really become more visible at spreading the message of it. Mm-hmm. So, you really have to create that space in your life for the things that are really important to you. Mm-hmm. And then the other things will fit in. It's put the big values in. If finding your passion is important to you, or if it's not important to you yet, however, you're finding that you're struggling, you're anxious, you're depressed, you're just not feeling connected, I would invite you to start looking at that, because oftentimes it's our soul who's uncomfortable that you're not sort of fulfilling the purpose that will make you feel certain discomfort so that you make a turn, you get back on course. So that's an important thing, I think, to look at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And then it kind of gets me thinking again about energy, and that's what's cool about human design is your whole energy blueprint is all piece of the understanding of human design. Yeah.
And it's not like you have to fill out a questionnaire to get the information, because sometimes it's like, well, I don't know. Sometimes I feel this way. And especially my people with open G's, like if they're filling it out around other people, it's like they could be answering for their neighbor or their open net, it's sort of like, how do you decide when you have certain, intricacies in the chart?
Right.
And yes, there are the 5 types.
Yeah, that's your jargon that you understand. So, and I know not enough even about human design to know open G, and so what does that really mean, open G?
So the open G, so the G center is in the chart. It's where the seat of the soul is said to live. It's a center for for direction, for lovability, sort of the sense of self. They call it the magnetic monopole in human design sometimes, because it's sort of believed to be a magnet, just like the earth, and actually there's images that show the frequency of like the heart is the same as the energy coming from the earth.
Yes.
So that's really that place where when it's open, we can be around a variety of people and feel exactly what they feel like. So know them on a soul level. Sometimes when this is open, we also can question our lovability. Mm-hmm. And I think most people question something around lovability. If it's defined, sometimes people will question, will you love me if I show you me? If I'm authentic, if I'm show my authentic self. Right. And so that's just one of the little things. And this is really helpful when you are looking at your kids and their charts, because my child with an open G needs so much more like love, time, my energy. So, but since I understand the why behind it, it's like, okay, I just have to, keep working with her on this.
Yeah. Well, and we're going to do some charts in a minute too. So not a minute. That was an exaggeration. Okay. So 4 types: manifestors, generators, and then the combo of the manifesting generators, right? And then the projectors and the reflectors. Is there anything that's coming up for you right now that you want to add in while we're looking at this? Or do we want to keep moving?
Yeah, no, I think I covered pretty much everything. It's really understanding, and for the purposes of this, we can really cover strategy, but there is a layer of specialty when it comes to decision making. We want to look at also authority. So there's other types of flavors, when we're deciding. Mm-hmm. But, manifestors are informing, generators are responding, manifesting generators are responding, then informing, projectors are waiting for invitations, and reflectors are waiting for the moon cycle. So that's how we really want to, just sort of remember.
Right. And the other thing that fascinates me, I just love about this is when you're not kind of like being you, when you're not, lack of better words, authentic. So for let's see, for manifestors, if they're angry, they're like, I don't want to get to that place because that's so inauthentic for them, right? And for generators, what was theirs again?
So the emotional theme, so manifestors will feel anger if they're not following their strategy.
Generators frustration.
Yeah. Manifesting generators, frustration and anger. Projectors will feel bitter, like, why am I giving all my information and no one cares? And reflectors will feel disappointed. It's like, this world is coming to an end. This is not how I want to feel.
Wow.
So, that's what they're sort of looking for.
Well, there's truth of who you are right there.
Yeah.
I love it. That's really cool. Oh, the other thing is getting energy, like manifestors, where do they get their energy? That comes from what?
Yeah, well, manifestors always have a motor center. When we get to those slides, I can point them out. Okay. But there's a motor connected directly to the throat. So this throat is a center, all energy is trying to get out in the world to be manifested, but not everybody has this direct connection from an energy source to the throat. But it will never be the sacral. So it will never be that center for consistent work. Only generators have that defined.
Okay. And so generators have that defined, and then
always have
them. So manifest generators, we kind of covered them. Then what about projectors, where they're going to get their energy?
Projectors are going to get their energy from other people, from when the planets are moving. Sometimes, projectors can take on the energy of others and not know when to stop, can work as if they're a manifesting generator for about 40 years, until it's like they fry their motors, and then they have, they get sick. They're down, and they're forced to kind of take that break. Right. Generators also, yes, they have a motor. However, that motor gets turned on in response. So if you are not responding, if you're using your head to run around the world and do stuff, and you're not responding, you might say like, well, I don't want to work all the time. Like, this isn't for me. And that's because you're not using your sacral as your tool for decision making. You know, you're not responding. So it's really important to notice, like, anytime we are struggling, it's just information to how we can get, you know, living back, we'll call it, on the chart.
When you say sacral, is that the second chakra area?
The sacral?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, in human design, it's a 9 center versus 7.
Okay.
So it's a little bit, but yes, like that would be, I think, connected to the, you know, sexual stuff, reproduction, like all of that's in the sacral.
Yeah. Okay. And I always have my clients make a fist and pull it into the chakra, because as a fully embodied person, and physically that's your core, like a person who has you working out, you know, physical trainer, whatever, that's your core. And it also, when you're fully embodied, it's where your true power is residing. So that's interesting. And then, so projectors you did, and then reflectors for energy, where they get their energy?
Reflectors, it changes day to day. So I always tell reflectors, like, if they can get the chart running system, so they can see, like, am I a generator today? Am I a manifesting generator? It's going to change, you know, as the planets are moving around. It's really helpful for them to sort of run that. And then it's going to depend on who they're with. You know, who are they around the most? That's where they're going to feel energy or no energy.
Nice.
Disappointment or joy.
Yeah, they are all about checking in, aren't they?
Oh my gosh, yeah, and time alone for sure, for all of us. You know,
just time alone to get away from all the other energies that they're reflecting, so they know they're on.
Yeah, and to figure out, like, who am I? You know, when I'm not surrounded by other people.
Yeah, and what is it that I really want? Cool. Okay, so then it definitely is. So the aura speaks louder than words is really kind of that whole energy, bring your energy back. Like you said, for manifesting generators, I remember you said to me at the end of the day, check in, like, what is my energy and what is others, and then send it back to them. And obviously projectors can do that too then. I mean, that's big, right?
Well, it's like this idea of, you know, you walk into a room and before you speak, there's so many things your aura is speaking for you. So the manifestor, their aura is kind of like, get out of my way a little bit, like, move, I'm coming through. Projectors have a very penetrating aura. So, like, you know, that's why they need to be invited. You cannot penetrate without an invitation. Generators, their aura is drawing things to them. That's why they respond, because there's always something for them to respond to.
Yeah.
And reflectors are sort of like, you know, tasting the aura. It's like, you know, almost like if I imagine like a spinning ball, and they're just like testing everything. So, you know, all of that is communicating without words.
Yeah, right. And so tune into your body. That's like huge. The whole energy stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
Know your energy blueprint is about, like, knowing your human design, which would take us right into the chart. Is there anything else you want to say? And then I mean,
I think it's always, you know, human design, it's about getting out of your head, because our head is a place of danger and questions and inspiration, and can be beautiful.
Yeah.
It can also lead us down the wrong road, and it's like there's like a terrible thing that's going to happen. But when you're tuning into your body, and if you've done any, you know, training in trauma, like, that's where healing happens. Like, healing happens when you begin to listen to your body and you begin to feel safe at home in your body. It's not like healing doesn't happen through a mind cycle in the brain. It just doesn't. So, you know, being able to sit with physical stuff is so healing, which is why I add EFT and tapping into my work, because it brings a mindfulness approach, but also you're using the body to clear stuff. Yeah.
And the only thing with the tapping is people can use it to numb out and actually not go deeper, and it is a tool for going deeper. However, they can just tap away stuff, and they're
Right.
actually numbing out and not getting down to the core of what's really going on, so to speak.
It's being able to, you have to have the coping tools in order to go there. So, until you've learned, like, okay, I can cope with this memory, I can cope with this, thing that happened to me, then, okay, I feel safe, I'm ready to, and this is where, using your response, asking a generator, do you want to go deeper? And what does the sacral say? It could say, and then you step off, like, you move back.
Yeah.
So it's always,
Are you also saying working on your triggers before you would go there too? Because it's really about digging deeper.
I mean, you never want to have someone like not feel safe. That is always the goal. Like, yes, I'm doing human design, but I still have all of this clinical training, and that is the first thing. Like, you're always assessing for safety. Like, do they feel like they can cope? Like, if something happens, are they, thinking of hurting themselves? And these are serious things, and people think them all the time, and they're not in therapy. And so it's so helpful to work on these tools and begin to trust your body, to know your energy blueprint, to see, oh, wow, like, maybe I'm picking up on the emotions of someone else. It's not me. I don't have to figure it out. Like, I can just move out of the room, or I can go for a walk. So it's learning, how do you operate, in your physical being with just more wisdom about, other people. And it helps. You feel better.
Right. And neurodevelopmentally, even if you are safe, that's nothing. It's not about being safe. It's about feeling safe.
Yeah, totally. 100%. And it's also like, I can handle it. Even if I don't feel safe, like, I trust that I'm strong enough to, take care of myself, or that someone else will, be there for me.
Yeah. Which can be a trigger if people weren't there for you.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's very complicated. I'm not saying that human design is like this magical thing, even though it's pretty magical. I mean, in terms of magic. But there's so many layers that, when we're dealing with human behavior and brain development and trauma, like, it's, it's massive.
Yeah. And what I've noticed about depression, that's all about isolation and kind of creating situations outside of self that sort of prove that I am alone, because, like, this happened, I really need to process this, but now I can't process this because the person I would have processed it with, it is the one I'm having an issue with, or whatever, and then don't have any resources for another person to process it with, blah, blah, right?
Yeah, so it's sort of stopping that thought spiral of, like, okay, well, what else could be true?
Yeah.
What else is out there? With social media, like, I can make a friend a day.
Yeah.
And say, like, hey, you want to have a coffee date?
You made a really good point about that. I guess you said spiral. On that one thought, like, I got to solve this one thought, and it's like, it could be these other things. It could be this other person. I know as a manifesting generator, like, we move, so quickly because of the manifestor part. And we also speak from our very strong sacral, which is your soul level, which you don't even remember what you just said, because when I work with people and ask them, do this, put your arm out, bring it in, to that second chakra, and then I say, hey, if you're poofing off the planet tomorrow, what's the one thing that you want us to all know, or whatever I'm doing with them, they're at their soul, and I'm writing it down, but they're at their soul, and I'm like, wait, like, they talk too fast. I'm like, say that again, and they're like, I can't, and we laugh because they're at their soul, so they're not going to be able to take back what they just said. And I think that's huge to realize that, if someone's doing that, stay at the soul level with them and just let it be, just leave it, very cool. All right, here we go. So this is your human design chart.
Yes.
And so maybe you can point out some real simple things like your definition and how you see that.
Yeah. So anything that's colored in is defined, meaning it's radiating out into the world. So I have a defined head going from the top, head, ajna, throat, G center, will center, and spleen. So all of those things, like those are just energies that are fixed. They're consistent in my field. They're not going to change, based on the planets, based on who I'm around. So it'll feel the same. Where I'm open, so my sacral, my root, and my solar plexus, this is where I am receiving information all of the time. And what also happens when you're receiving is you're magnifying that. So take my solar plexus. I'm receiving emotional energy and magnifying it. So if someone's experiencing something, they come into my aura, I begin to feel it. It's not actually like a transfer, like I'm feeling what they're feeling. It's I'm feeling what they're feeling, but magnified. So it feels even bigger than what they might be feeling. So the strategy for this is, one, to be a screen, not a sponge. And then two, to ask yourself, like, am I not speaking my truth in order to be nice, in order to not make a wave? So that's what we, anytime there's openness, we want to decondition those centers, because we get conditioned by the energies around us, especially when they're consistent around us, like parents, partners, roommates, people that we're living with. Like, we're taking on their energy in our open centers. So we really have to get clear of, what's me? Do I know when enough is enough? That's my sacral. No. I need to force myself to take breaks or to ask someone else. The root is, always this adrenal pressure to get things done. So I never feel free. So it's what's the worst thing that's going to happen if I don't get this done? And at some point you just have to say, like, in my chart, my sort of propensity for burnout is that I have a defined will center, so I can push through even though I don't have the energy.
Wow.
So I don't know when enough is enough. And I never feel free. I always feel this, like, my to-do list is perpetually long. So at some point I just stop making a list. But then it's a sort of this, then I get in now I don't have a list. I don't know what to do.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's, trying to figure out, that balance.
You're
Yeah.
describing
Everybody has challenges. These are my personal challenges, but yours are going to be different depending on where your openness is in your chart, and the things you have defined. So, like, I know that my life purpose is to make a commitment to creativity and self-love and bringing abundance into the world. Yeah. And, so once okay, that's what I'm supposed to do, then don't get caught up in that other BS in your open centers. Be your fully expressed, authentic self, and life will just unfold better, more easily. The invitations will come, the things to respond to will come.
Yeah, and the reason I said that is because my husband, I'm a manifesting generator, my husband is a projector, and so as you're, everything that you're saying, I'm sitting here going, oh, my poor husband, because, like, whatever I'm feeling, he's feeling it, say times 100 because he's a projector. Yeah. And just those two tidbits, there was another one that just, like, light bulb moment for me, like, how can I, best serve him, if you will, and keep in mind where he's at. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, invite him. That's what you want to do. You want to invite projectors. You want to give generators things to respond to. You want to inform manifestors. You want to give reflectors time. Like, if you, love languages, this is like the human design love languages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so yeah, this is kind of the layout of you. Is there anything that I haven't really touched on here that
I think we covered? So the profile, it's basically, so the type is what we covered. It's kind of like the role. If there was like a mom role, it would be a mom. The profile would be like, she could be the bad mom. She could be the PTA mom. It's sort of like a different flavor, like how the soul is sort of like operating in the world.
Okay.
The definition just shows you, if you look at my chart, you can see that none of the things are connected. So my definition, my head and my ajna aren't connected to anywhere else. My throat and my G aren't connected to anything else. And then my spleen and my will, everything is, its own little connection. And we look at that in terms of relationships. Oftentimes people with just a split definition, they're the ones teaching us about how to be in relationship. People with the, triple split, quadruple split, single split, they really don't need, they're not looking for that split to be filled by other people's energy.
Okay.
So
when you say connected, there's like a red line going kind of
exactly
your body. Yeah. That's a connected. But
that's a channel.
And then the purple one from the two triangles, the one upright and the one upside down.
Yeah.
On their bottoms, there's a purple line there, and that's a connection. Is that the only place you're saying you're connected?
So in the center, and if you got there's the head and the ajna, the throat and the G, and the spleen and the will. Those are my 3 connections.
Okay. Well, it's just because the lines aren't going all the way from one to the other. That's where I was wondering.
Yeah, no, anytime that there's a connection, like meaning a gate in one center and a gate in another center are both activated, it's like you plug them in. And that's what creates the definition in the energy centers, is when the gates are connected.
We're probably getting too deep for
Yeah.
like,
this is number 2 that we're going into.
All right. So anything else here?
I think that's probably good for this level. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And there's another one of you.
Yeah.
Oh, I showed what a full chart looks like, and then what it looks like up close. Yeah, this is the first time we've done anything like this with the charts, so we probably rethink the order next time. Okay, that would be me. Okay, so there I am. So what you got?
Yeah, so your openness is in your head and your ajna, your G center and your will center. So you see that those are white. So for you, it's going to be pressure, pressure to answer questions, to be certain, to prove your worth, to prove your lovability. So what we're always working on are these resiliency themes. So we want to work on lovability. We want to work on our self-worth. We want to work on decisiveness and not using our mind to make decisions. You also have a defined emotional center with an individual wave. So, I always mention this in readings because you have a wave of emotional energy. So they could be lows, there could be highs. This is not depression. This is energy. So it's just getting to the place where you're sort of trusting, okay, this is how it works. Sometimes I need quiet time and to think and create. Other times when I'm feeling energized, I come out into the world. So it's really just being able to honor that without getting trapped into your mind of, figuring out like, why am I feeling this way? What's going on? Because we always want a reason, like when we're having a panic attack, if you can give yourself a reason, it will reduce the time of your panic attack. So, we're always like, that's what our brain is seeking for.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely. I think something really triggering for me is when I can't figure something out. Because, my whole thing all my life, I've always made sense of things for myself and others. It's just what I do in the world. So it coordinates here with the human design,
and being able to not be certain. Like you can see things from a billion different perspectives. Not everybody can do that. So, honoring your learning style. If something's important, writing it down because you're probably not going to remember. Being able to be in the flow with things and be in the flow with other people and not feeling like you have to find yourself, but really you have to find where you feel good around, which people you feel connected to.
Yeah. Now for generators, do they kind of it has to be that it's just kind of that one variable? It must be this one thing? Do they
The
get
generator, in terms of response?
Well, when something happens and they're trying to figure out why, okay, like, why am I, whatever, like,
Yeah.
do
So
they get kind of like there's only one perspective? Do they get a little stuck in the oneness of the
I don't know about that. I mean, I think it's, that's why the sacral is helpful. Like if you had someone ask you yes or no questions, that would help you figure out, what that thing is. Are you tired? Do you need a break? Do you enjoy your work? Do you like apples?
right?
Having them and responding from the sacral, which for you, it would be like, yep, no. Generators, we want them to say, because that's really using that sacral. But because the manifest generators are moving a little faster, sometimes it's the first thing out of their mouth in response to something.
Is yes, no?
Is yep, no, yes, no. It's usually just a little bit faster.
Got it. Okay, cool. Anything else here?
No.
Okay.
I mean, we could go on for days, but
oh, wow. Yeah.
for educational purposes.
We're trying to keep this the light overview. Good luck. Yeah. We've already stuck our foot in it. Okay, so human design and procrastination. Love this. This is what we're all about here today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, hit it.
So focusing on energy rather than time management. So what this kind of means is, following your strategy, focus on what I talked about at the beginning of what are the things that energize you? How can you do more of those things? Because it's possible that you're procrastinating because it's not meant for you. That there's a part of your, inner compass, your inner wisdom that's like, either it's not the right time, it's not the right information, because even with human design, like I think if I tried doing this 7 years ago, we wouldn't have been ready. Like it wasn't the right time. And, now I can see, like I feel in my gut, like, okay, now is the right time. I'm ready. The world is ready. There's sort of this magical thing that has to happen for something to be successful.
Right.
So it's, focusing on the energy of it.
Yeah.
Rather than like, yes, you should also track your day. You should have, intentions and things like that. And, if you have an open spleen, this might be a little harder for you because you have a different sense of time than other people. But, using a timer, setting, alerts on your phone can also be helpful. And then you can still respond to those like, like go to lunch with so-and-so, like, no. And then you can cancel.
Yeah. Well, and that whole time thing is like a container. And when you're creating a business, it's all about the feminine energy and creating in chaos. In order to move your business forward, it's about the masculine energy. And that includes those boundaries, if you will, of time, what looks like time management. So you can go on the other end of the pendulum with too much of that masculine energy.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna push through and I'm gonna go to the gym at this time every single day, well, as a woman that just like will totally poop you out. Yeah. And businesses, the ones that are successful right now are running their businesses in more of that feminine energy. That doesn't mean that there's not masculine energy in there with the boundaries and knowing when to stop and yeses and nos and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay. So taking an idea and bringing it into the world. You touched on, how the different ones will do that. So what else do you have?
Yeah. I mean, it's really, the mind is here for our inspiration. It's here so we can be creative and find the next creative solution to, world peace or hunger or global warming. That's what's going to download into our consciousness.
Yeah.
But how do you know which ones are right for you? By following your human design strategy. Because, we could have an amazing idea, but do we have the time? Do we have the resources?
Yep.
Could we possibly figure this out right now? Or like sometimes it's okay to let the idea flow, write it down, and then wait and see what shows up until, you get that it's like a feeling in your body of like, yes, like I feel recognized, I feel invited, projectors. Yes, my sacral's responding. Manifestors kind of just have to try and see what happens, and then, then assess. And reflectors just wait until a full moon, and then go forth and see if you still want to do it.
All right. So we covered a lot of things of what you get from, understanding, because there's one thing to have your chart, and that's big. And then there's a whole other thing to really understand that information, especially on the uniqueness of your own chart, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's more, I think we can have all the information. It's, are we actually experimenting? Like, are we actually following it? Because yes, I can understand, respond. That doesn't mean in the real world that I'm actually using it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the bigger piece is, say, okay, for 6 weeks, I'm going to play with this. Right. And set that intention and see what unfolds. And I can tell you, especially for projectors, like it's amazing to see what happens.
Yeah, that's
you wait for the recognition.
This has been great information. Okay, so allow others to be who they are, and then understand the truth of who you are. And then human design and procrastination, they kind of go together, because procrastination is a lot of times an energy thing, right? Mm-hmm. And so when you understand your unique energy and the energy of those around you, life can move forward. And procrastination is about not moving forward, right?
Yeah. And it's sometimes there's healthy procrastination.
Yeah.
So really getting,
so I'm not going out to lunch with you.
Like, why am I procrastinating? Like, do I want to do this?
Yeah.
And the answer might be no.
Yeah, I love that. That's a huge spin, because procrastination is just under the, fame of shame,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's like, it's all about noticing. My background's special education, and I can't say enough about, and of course you with your therapy background, noticing. And I've had 7 courses in psychology too, so on top of it, I've got the special ed and the psychology, and it's about noticing. I love it. Very cool.
Yeah, with compassion.
Say again.
With compassion.
Noticing with compassion.
Yes.
All right. So you have a free gift for everybody. You get a human design. It's called the Rave chart, that I've been showing you. Mm-hmm. And you get your own chart, and it's free. And then you can learn about your unique energy blueprint for an abundant life. And you're always out there to help if someone even wants to go further and understand it at a deeper level, more unique to them. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
Awesomeness.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you can do your chart. They just need like their name, place, birth, so like country, and the date of birth, so the month, the date, the year, and then if possible, it's not absolutely necessary, if they happen to know the time,
or general time of day. Sometimes it doesn't change, sometimes it does. So if you don't know the time and it changes, we'll use a pendulum.
Yeah, and it's not a super, super significant, certainly not in the general of what they're going for right now. So very cool. So you can go out and grab that. The link is also in your email at themindfulfamily.com.
Great.
Thanks again, Jennifer.
Thank you, Linda. Take care.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. You too.